Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And we're so excited. We have a great guest today. All of our guests are great, but I really am a big fan of Heather Anderson. And I'm going to read Heather's bio because I like to typically memorize these, but there's so much on here. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows how great Heather is. Okay.
Well, thank you.
So Heather Anderson is a fashion and lifestyle influencer, helping women over 40 look modern, feel confident, and truly love the way they show up in the world. With over 250,000 followers across YouTube and Instagram and more than a decade of experience, she's built a trusted platform rooted in real, wearable style. She shares simple, practical fashion tips that make getting dressed feel effortless because she believes when you dress better, you feel better. And when you feel better, your whole life elevates. So true. Love that, Heather. Heather is also known for her refreshingly honest take on dating over 50. As someone who's actively out there navigating in herself, she shares real-life experiences, practical advice, and plenty of encouragement to help women date with confidence, clarity, and self-respect. Whether it's style or relationships, her mission is simple: to empower women to feel confident, vibrant, and excited about this season of life. Yay! I love that.
I love
Yay,
that
Heather.
too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Welcome.
thank you for joining us.
Of course. I feel like I'm frozen. The picture of me I'm seeing is frozen. Am I okay?
Yes,
You're
you look
good.
great.
Okay.
Yes, you look fabulous, and we can see you
Okay.
perfectly, and you look and sound great.
Okay.
All right, so tell us. So, what has this journey been like for you, Heather? So, you're a fashion influencer. You've got lots of followers that really appreciate everything you're doing. When did you say, "I'm going to go do this," or how did it start?
Well, so I started my business probably 14 years ago in 2012, right after my father passed away of lung cancer. And actually started out as a stylist. And so I was meeting with women one-on-one. I've always loved fashion since I was a little girl. And so I thought, I really want to do something with that. And so I, decided to become a stylist. And I did that for about a year or so. And then it was, very time consuming meeting with women one-on-one. And that was like in the very beginning when blogging was starting. Not many people probably even knew what it was, including myself, until someone said, "You should do this blogging thing." And I'm like, "What's that?" And then I was like, "Oh, so I had a website built, and, I just started putting my outfits online and linking to them. And then maybe 6 months after that, I got hooked up with Reward Style, which is now called Like to Know It, LTK. And I became an influencer, for LTK. And I, started earning money on my commissionable links. And then I started building my Instagram and started getting collaborations and just sort of snowballed from there. And I really, enjoyed helping women at this stage in life, like, feel amazing, because I feel like there's this stigma of like, oh my gosh, once you're over 40, like it's all over, you're just going to look frumpy for the rest of your life. And it's like, no, it can actually be the opposite.
I feel like that's when it's just getting started.
Exactly. Because you have so much more wisdom and experience when you're, over 40 than you did when you were, say, in your 20s and 30s. And so, yeah, I think it's actually better at this stage of life.
I agree. You have more resources too.
Yeah, exactly.
And more confidence in yourself. But so, you've been doing this for a long time. So you have a lot of, obviously, patience and resilience and tenacity. And how have things changed over the past, let's just say, decade with social media and, getting out there and sharing things that you like and letting us know, what we can be doing to improve ourselves?
Yeah. So, I guess one way it's changed is more video. Like when I first started, it was all about photos and posting a lot of photos of your outfits. And then it really went to video, which is why I launched my YouTube channel 6 years ago. And once I did that, like, that really helped me just create a whole new audience. And I really liked that, just like being able to be on camera and just like talk about fashion. But more importantly, I like talking about more vulnerable things like dating and how I got out of a toxic marriage that I was in for, 15 years, and I got divorced 3 years ago. And so that's been a really big part of my life in the last couple of years. And I've shared a lot about it because I want to help other women. I know there's a lot of women in this, my same boat, that are divorced or stuck in a, unhealthy relationship. And so I really want to help women with that aspect of their lives as well, not just the fashion piece.
Yeah, I love that you're so vulnerable. Did that happen just you deciding, hey, I'm just going to do this? Or was this more of what was the decision to really open up and go on camera and share those things?
Because I do love fashion. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I've loved that since I was a little girl. But what I'm a real, I don't know what the correct word to say is, but like what I'm really passionate about is just like I've had so much therapy and I've done like a lot of healing work. And I like went off to this really great place called the Hoffman process, which is like this week-long emotional healing treatment center in California. And I did that right before I filed for divorce. And it's a lot of experiential therapy and a lot of like inner child healing work and all these things. And it just really helped me so much. And so that is another passion of mine that's maybe even a little bit stronger than the fashion piece that I just feel called. I feel like God wants me to share that part of my life. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed me to go through it.
I feel like when you share things like that, you actually build so much trust with your followers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I don't want women to think like, oh,
it's all fun and games over here, unicorns.
Exactly. Like, I don't look like this most days. And some days I cry, some days I'm sad, some days I'm anxious, some days and then, of course I have happy, fabulous days too, but they're not all happy and fabulous, as we all know. And so I try to be as vulnerable as possible because I want women to see me as a real woman and not just somebody in front of the camera that has to look pretty or try to look pretty.
Well, you always look pretty. It's inner beauty also that radiates. So I think that that's why people are drawn to your YouTube channel and are drawn to following you on the social media. But all right, so the dating over 50, was that something that you said, all right, I'm going to now start sharing my experience? Like, because it's so real and I love listening to your stories and I, of course, learn a lot from hearing what you say and I just love it. So I know that I'm not the only one that loves it.
Wow.
And so tell us about that.
Well, so, actually when I got divorced and I left that marriage and everything, I honestly thought I was going to start talking about like how to leave a toxic relationship. I really thought I was going to focus on that. But then I decided, you know what, that's not something I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on that part of my life. And then I did just naturally start dating. And then I was like, wow, like this is really teaching me a lot about myself, like, interacting with men and, recognizing red flags, recognizing green flags and all these things. So I was like, you know what? I just decided I started a TikTok channel or whatever, a TikTok page, whatever you want to call it. And I just started talking about dating only. I wasn't even sharing my fashion piece. And people were just like loving it. And it was helping me too, because like I would have I would date a guy for 8 weeks and we would have a breakup or something. And I would be really upset about it. And I would just get on TikTok and start talking about it. And I was just like, it was helping me, I feel like, as much as it was helping other people, And so I just was like, wow. And so once I started seeing it take off so much on TikTok, I thought, I guess I should start doing this over on Instagram because there's women on Instagram. They're going to like this as well. And then I started doing it on my YouTube channel. And again, I really love talking about that stuff, like even more than the fashion stuff.
Yeah, well, you can definitely tell that you enjoy sharing your stories with the viewers because it's so authentic and genuine. All right, so the name of our show is called Bench to Bold and kind of gave you a little bit of a heads up. What were some moments in your life where you felt like you were benched? I mean, are there, and it doesn't have to necessarily be anything too personal, but just a few moments. And then also now, living your bold life, like what is that like? How does that feel?
Well, I mean, I would say one thing that made me feel benched was being divorced. And I've actually been divorced twice. I married my high school sweetheart at a pretty young age. Actually, I was 19 when I married him. We had 2 wonderful children, and I'm so grateful for that marriage because I have my 2 kids, and I'm about to be a grandmother. My 26-year-old daughter is pregnant, so I'm so excited about that.
Congratulations.
And then I was divorced for 3 years, and then I remarried my second husband and was married to him for 15 years and no kids, and then divorced again 3 years ago. So I would say that I felt benched after the divorce because being around a lot of my girlfriends are married, And, and I miss that. I loved being married. I believe two is better than one. And I don't think that I'm broken just because I still do want a husband and I desire a husband. And I know that I will have another husband. Hopefully it will be my last husband next time around because I've learned a lot of lessons. So even right now in my singlehood, and especially like getting on social media and continuing to talk about my dating. I mean, I have heard people say like, wow, like how are you still single? Why are you still single? Something must be wrong with you, and that makes me feel benched too. And then I start to get in my head like, oh, maybe I shouldn't share so much about my dating. But then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that because I really don't care what those people are saying about me anyways. It's none of my business what people say about me. That's like one of the best tips my therapist ever gave me. And so, I think I could answer that question by saying I'm still single because I'm not going to settle, and I have high standards, and I learned a lot from my past, and I'm still work in progress. And so it's not what, who knows what the
I think it has a lot to do with also setting boundaries for yourself, right?
Yes, for sure.
I think when we're in our 20s, because I've been there too, divorced twice and now remarried. And after my second divorce, I was single for 10 years. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do this again.
No.
I'm just going to, work on myself. And I did that. I worked on myself. I had the job that I loved. I had a new place that I was living that I loved, and everything was so positive in my life. And I just focused on myself, my job, my career, my family, and my dog. And when I started doing that and became so comfortable with me and being alone and enjoying my me time and hanging out with my friends, even if they were married, I feel like the third wheel, but I didn't feel like the third wheel, right? But once I started doing that, I found the love of my life. And I've been married going on 8 years. Okay. And
where did y'all
literally we met online on a site called Our Time.
Okay.
And it was for men over 50 and women that had to be over 40. I don't even know if it's still around, but I actually learned about the site from a friend of mine who met her husband on there, and she begged me to do it. She said, just try it. And I was in medical sales for 30 years, and I had, traveled 5 states at some point of my life, and had a lot of emails that I had to come home and do because obviously you can't do them when you're driving. So, I worked 8 hours a day, and then I would come home, go to the gym, and then come home, have dinner, and answer emails for work or plan my day for the next day or week. And so the last thing I wanted to do was come home and get online and decipher through a lot of guys and emails. But I did. I gave it, a try, and I'm glad I did because it worked out. Yeah. So from actually my first date a year later to the date we were married. So we were engaged in 6 months and married. And, he didn't have a picture up to start with. And so I responded to him and said, "Where's your pic?" ? And then I kind of forgot about him. And it was just because I was just doing me at that point. But I had also learned to set boundaries through going to counseling. And when you learn to set boundaries, things start to
you lose people.
To look.
You lose the wrong people, which is fine. And I think that's a good filtering thing. You lose the wrong people. And I definitely lost a few guys because of boundaries, and that's okay.
And you have to do that with friends as well.
Right.
I've had to set boundaries with friends, with family, and you lose those people. But is it really a loss?
Exactly.
Right.
Good way to put it. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Heather, those are definitely some moments, and I think very relatable. People can understand being benched, feeling that kind of those feelings. But obviously, you're a very positive and optimistic person. So what are some moments where you now are feeling that you're living a bold life and are making choices that will bring you to where you know that you want to be?
I would say one thing is, just getting online and being vulnerable and sharing my experiences. That makes me feel good. Also, when I get comments from women saying, "Oh my gosh, you sharing your story helped me so much," and that to me is huge. I feel like when I know I've helped somebody, that just makes me feel so good. And then another thing is just, dating and being able to walk away from a man when he doesn't treat me the right way, or if I set a boundary, for example, and he doesn't respond in the right way, which is kind of what happened most recently with this last guy that I dated. I kind of noticed like 3 big red flags. One of them being like his texting energy like completely shifted, like not just the frequency of his texting, but also the tone. And it was very strange. It's like he went from being super sweet, nice, like all like couple texts a day to like very cold and neutral. So that was like a red flag. And then he just didn't seem very curious about me and wasn't asking a lot of questions in the beginning. And so I felt like that was also a red flag. And then when I set like a boundary physically with him, he kind of pushed it a little bit. And that was like, I feel like the ultimate red flag. But because I'm not afraid to be alone, to what you were saying earlier, I was able to just send this man a text and just say, you know what, I wish you the best, but I just don't think we're the best match. I did say because, I feel like he pressed my boundaries a little bit. And, I was honest because I feel like he needed to know that, and then that was it. And he was just like, okay, thanks for letting me know. Sorry to hear that. Best of luck. And so like, I have no hard feelings towards him, but I'm proud of myself and I have to love myself enough to do that. And I'm just making room for the right person to come along when I'm able to cut someone off. When you're dating, I think that's super important as a woman is you need to not be afraid to be alone so that you will cut something off if your intuition is telling you this isn't right.
I think that that's so important to know that you're great by yourself. I mean, and that you like yourself and that you can go and keep yourself busy and occupied. And that obviously, having a great partner is something that, that will come along whenever, but obviously, that you like to do these things. All right. So as far as the fashion goes, who inspired, like, how did you get interested in fashion when you were younger? What was that about? Was it your mom or was it somebody in your family that dressed nicely, or what was that?
So since I was a little girl, I feel like I was born with it. Like, my grandmother, my mom's mom, was very fashionable. And I did always notice, like, as a little girl, like 4, 5, 6 years old, like she was always dressed so beautifully and always had like beautiful jewelry on and her makeup and hair done and nails. And I just always admired that about her. Like, I just thought she was so beautiful. And she was, of course, very kind and loving. And so I just always had a love for that, And then I remember when I was a little girl, my neighbors bought me these like platform heels back from China when I was like 4. And I literally did not want to take them off. I thought they were the coolest things in the entire world. And anyway, so yeah, I've just kind of been, I guess, born that way. But then also my father was also very stylish. And him and I would go shopping together. And I've always loved it. And it always made me feel good when I would put on a really great outfit. And then I just kind of got the idea because I didn't realize like, okay, I can actually help other women do this. Like, it really wasn't a thing until y'all probably know who Rachel Zoe is. Well, I saw the Rachel Zoe show like long ago when she had that TV show. And she was like a celebrity stylist. And I was like, wait, you can do that? Like, that's a thing. You can like be a stylist. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. So I did it. So I was like, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So I did it. And here I am.
Do you ever feel like you need a personal stylist for yourself?
I don't, because I definitely get inspiration from other women, of course, tons of, celebrities or influencers. Absolutely. But I think because I do consider myself a stylist, that I don't feel like I need one because I can do that for myself.
Sometimes I feel like I get overwhelmed in my closet and I stand there because I'm a fashion influencer as well, not on the level that you are. But I've never been a personal stylist. But I feel like I put myself together pretty well. But sometimes there's just that one thing that I stand in my closet and I'm like, what in the hell can I wear with this? Like, I have a pair of boots. I'll give you an example. I just got from Styled, however you pronounce it. And I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, and they're Carolina Panther blue. And so I was so excited to wear them to an event a couple of weeks ago. And I put them on with an outfit that I thought they looked fabulous with. And my husband was like, honey, you're not wearing that, right? And so there's that one thing that you feel like, so sometimes I feel like I need a personal stylist.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a picture of those boots, and maybe
Yeah. So I was going to say, can I screenshot you a picture of those boots and you let me know what I can wear them with, because they're beautiful.
yeah, I would love that. Definitely.
Well, so that is just so, and that's what I think, that's why people really resonate with you, Heather, is that you are so open and kind and have such a great, easygoing way about you. And one of the great fun things as a woman on social media is that, you can make friends. Like, we're friends on social media. Alisa was saying, how do you know Heather? I'm like, when we met on social media a couple years ago, we have mutual friends, but like, we have things in common. We're both, women. Obviously, we have that in common, and we're nice people, and we're moms, and
Similar in age.
Yeah, and we can cheerlead for one another. And so I think that that's something that's so great. And that is, social media has its own, its own thing. But I think that ultimately it can bring people together that really do want to celebrate one another and cheer for one another. And so that's why I get to be a fan of yours.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing and sharing great information and tips, styling, relationships, being a mom. I know your daughter recently was married and now you're going to be a grandmother. So we'll look forward to all of those things. So how will and tell everybody where they can find you on social media, first of all.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I want to say I also love following you guys, and I admire y'all so much. And I'm going to start listening more to your podcast. I can't wait. But yeah, so on Instagram, on So Heather blog, and my website is soheather.com. And on YouTube, it's just my name, Heather Anderson.
And so the So Heather, was that like an expression that people would be like, oh, that's, just So Heather? Or how did that come up?
Yeah, exactly. People would see like a shirt or a jacket and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's So Heather. Instead of
I love that.
I think I'm just that's what I'm going to be, is So Heather.
It works, it obviously, it has clearly been working. So keep being So Heather. And so what's next on the So Heather agenda?
Well, I've actually been thinking about starting a podcast, and, I already have my YouTube channel. And so it actually wouldn't even be as difficult as I might make it out to be in my own head. So that might be a podcast on like, divorce and dating over 50, or, something like that, something about empowering women at this middle stage of life. That might be what's on my radar. Also, I was thinking about something like a dating event meeting place for people over 40 to meet in person. Hosting events, maybe, because a lot of people are so over the apps, although I still think it's a thing you kind of have to do because that's where most people are that are single, so I'm not going to rule that out, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We have a restaurant in Charlotte, and a few other restaurants are doing it. So we kind of followed their lead, and they do kind of single and ready to mingle, and they do events surrounding, maybe it's Monday Night Football, so we have a single ready to mingle, and we do a theme.
Yeah,
so
that's cute. Yeah, that's great.
And there's great turnout for those things. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like speed dating.
Exactly. I think that'd be a great idea, because you don't know somebody from a picture on their profile. In fact, I have a date on Saturday night with a guy that I would have absolutely swiped no on if I would have just seen him and is on the profile. But because I met him in person like a year ago on the tennis court, I liked his energy, and I just kind of felt this like connection to him, oddly enough, within the first like 10 seconds of meeting him. But we didn't even really talk. And then I never saw the guy again until a year later, which is a couple days ago, on Bumble. And so he had swiped right on my profile, so I swiped right back and we matched. But again, I never would have swiped right on him had I not met him in person a year ago. So that just goes to show you that, you really can't tell somebody's energy from a photo. So when you're on those apps, you really should give people more of a chance, even if you think like they're slightly attractive, maybe swipe right. Like, you don't have to like think they're like the hottest guy in the world to, for you to swipe right on.
Yes. Well, I think that's good advice. I mean, but just in general, also, that's good advice just to maybe to take a moment and not be so critical or judgmental. Obviously, you want to have your own boundaries and you want to know what works right best for you, but those things. All right. So in closing, Heather, what do you do for fun? What are some fun things that you like to do that when you're not posting and blogging and helping us out with all sorts of good things? What do you like to do?
Yeah. So I love to do hot yoga. I'm the hot yoga addict. I do Bikram hot yoga, which is amazing. I love walking my dog. I have a little Shiatsu Dolce. She is my favorite little girl. She's like the best thing ever. And, I love going out with my girlfriends, going to dinner, having a glass of wine on the patio, enjoying things like that. I love playing tennis. I love playing pickleball. I love hanging out with my family and just like cooking a meal, having my family over, laughing with my, brothers and my son and my daughter and, just kind of hanging out with my family. Like it's the small moments where we are just sitting together in the kitchen, eating a meal and laughing. Like those are some of my favorite, most prized moments. Yeah.
That I get it. So have you decided on what you're going to be called as a grandmother?
Yeah. So I'm going to be called Hezi, which is when my niece was little, she couldn't say Heather. So instead of saying Aunt Heather, she said Aunt Hezi. And so then then she started calling me Hezi, and then it just kind of clicked. And so everybody, it'll be Hezi, Heazy.
I love
That's
it.
cute.
Yes. All right. So I'm envisioning a So Heezy Instagram account opening up very soon. Adventures with Heezy and grandchild.
Yeah.
So
You'll definitely be seeing him. It's a little boy. My daughter knows it's a boy. So his name's going to be Cal, Cal. So you will definitely be seeing sweet little Cal on my Instagram if she allows it. I think she will.
Yes. All right. Well,
That's
we will
exciting.
look forward to that. So, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, I'm telling everybody, go follow So Heather. You will not be disappointed. She's great. And there'll be cute grandson videos coming soon.
Yes.
But Heather, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining in on this episode of Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And we'll see everybody really soon. Thanks.